It's been a while since there's been a video about botting on the channel, hasn't it? In fact, I think the last one was nearly a year ago at this point. And I think things overall have notably improved since then, up until recently, that is. Back when Blizzard announced that you can make a Death Knight straight at level 55 without needing any character of the same level already on your account, my very first thought was, wow, that's going to be like a fast track for botters to get characters online and gold farming. In fact, even starting from level 1 Death Knights would be a pretty good consideration. They're just very fast levelers, notoriously strong at soloing content, and super self-sufficient. Them to start at 55 is really just the cherry on top. And in case you're wondering, the removal of this restriction was more or less a quality of life feature to get people to return to the game who hadn't played it in a very long time. And well, from public data, we can see that across all realms, the Death Knight is on average the second most popular class. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this has turned out to be a pretty smart move by Blizzard. Now, there are a few restrictions upon making a Death Knight on a brand new account. You can't roll them on the fresh realms, you can only have one DK per realm, and so on. All of these, however, only affect real players who are using their account to, well, play the game. What it doesn't affect is somebody buying a sub for cheap in a different region, or using botted retail gold on a WoW token, calling their brand new DK a name which resembles them having just smashed their head into their keyboard. Fun fact, there is a randomized name button, but only for North American realms. European realms don't have it for some reason. Anyway, they pick some random name, log in the character, and use it to turn a profit as soon as possible before it gets banned. And the getting banned bit at the moment seems to have gotten quite a bit more problematic. Now, how many bots you see on your realm is going to vary quite a bit. It should be the case that when a server is locked, so they drop off pretty fast. But when I was checking, North American realm Sulfuras was not in a good way. It just seems that as of late, botters have really found ways to get their farms up and online, and now it's on Blizzard to play catch up. As for locking realms, Blizzard started doing that much more frequently around the start of Wrath, and it means you cannot create new characters or transfer to those particular realms. Which of course means as a botter on a new account, once you get banned there, that's it, you now have to go somewhere else. And the whole idea with locking realms was to stop everyone transferring to a handful of servers, creating queues and overpopulating them. And of course there will always be bots in the game, but the volume at the moment seems to be getting reminiscent of early Classic, where things were totally out of control. And a big part of the reason is that bots are doing more to remain out of sight and out of mind. They're doing this through farming dungeons for leveling and or gold. It might not exactly be fast gold, in fact I'm pretty sure it's terrible gold per hour, but it is a bot, and if it's staying online enough to make more than it costs, then job done. Try doing a /who for players inside Blackrock Spire, Maridon or Stratton Dead to name a few. There is an unreal amount of bots in these dungeons all day, every day. I also decided to go check out the situation at a glance on North American realms, and as per usual, it was worse than EU. I'm not sure exactly what it is or why, but botting, every time I take a look into it, is visibly much worse and more widespread across NA realms compared to EU. Here's a glance of Blackrock Spire on a locked realm, by the way, Sulfuras, where there's literally a /who cap of rather questionably named DKs. Now, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here, and players such as Jubbers and Shij just thoroughly enjoy some good old Blackrock Spire farming at 5:30 AM. And yes, I went and checked, I had local time on during this clip, and the server was about 5 hours behind me. Then again, maybe it looks exactly like what it is. And as a player, I can't really do anything about this, which is not good because Blizzard have time and again stated that player reports are a key feature and component in them detecting and banning bots. You know what you can't do if a character's inside a dungeon? Report them for botting. You can report them for their name, and though a Tarif may not be the most normal of names, there isn't anything wrong with it per se. And if I actually wanted to report them, I'd have to go and park my character outside of Lower Blackrock Spire until they have to come out and reset, and then try and race them to see who can do what first. Me actually be able to report them, or them run back inside. And you can make macros to reset instances, which take seconds, by the way. And you know full well these are just bulk farm bots running around until they trigger a ban. I mean, just look at some of these names. These are accounts aren't being sold to players. I bet they're on 24/7. And I know I mentioned the randomized name thing earlier, but even if they wanted to, there are websites out there where you can press randomize name and it'll come up with something for you. This takes seconds to do. I mean, Blizzard, if reports really are the best way for players to help identify bots, the current system doesn't work where they can just stay inside of instances 99% of their life. It seems like a fairly easy change to expand the range of report options where a character is not directly in front of you. But those are just the ones inside of instances. In fact, if you go looking, it's also very easy to find bots doing content alongside other players, and this comes in the form of PvP. I don't know if you guys have tried Battlegrounds between 60 and 70, for example, over the past few weeks, but oh boy, it is not in a good way. The footage you'll see here took practically no effort to get. These were literally the first 3 Battlegrounds I entered, and I think that says about all you need to know. The AV one was on the weekend, I believe, and both Arathi Basins were during the Call to Arms bonus. So why are bots in Battlegrounds? Well, a new feature in Wrath of the Lich King is that Battlegrounds now give pretty decent XP rates on top of loads of honor. So for a bot, it's 2 birds with 1 stone. Level the character to do content later on, and equip them with some brutal gladiator gear, which is actually very good and isn't replaced until you progress quite some way through Wrath leveling content. Also, and very importantly, it's a lot simpler than other options. Imagine how much work it would be to script out questing fully, and now compare that to just getting a bot functional for combat. I guess it is higher risk though, well, a bit, because you can get reported in Battlegrounds still. Saying that, during the Battlegrounds I was checking out, I'm pretty sure there were literally a handful of humans actually there, and that most of both teams were either semi-AFKing or bots, and that's unfortunately not an exaggeration. So I just so happened to have a level 61 warrior on my account and had been checking out the 60 to 69 bracket, and I've seen DK bots on both sides of every single Battleground without fail, and they are just so obvious too. The lower brackets are truly miserable at the moment, and I can't imagine actually wanting to play this. It was such a joke. Here's one example from this week's Call to Arms Arathi Basin. I found 2 DKs with the exact same number of kills on that day. Following them around, it was totally robotic movement the whole way. They aren't on follow either, they're just following the exact same script. Eventually they came up against 2 Death Knight bots on the enemy team, and unfortunately the Alliance boys couldn't beat out the 2 Orc DK bots who were running around them in some glitchy looking circles. I guess Gudjvskuda and Just Good Fujga were just very keen on getting that particular Arathi Basin won. I went and logged on Sulfuron afterwards where those 2 characters were made, and that group of particular bots even had a few more running at the same time, and I couldn't report them before doing it from this UI either, only for their name. I tried to make a fresh DK, and it turns out that you can't queue for PvP straight away, at least that is something. I'm assuming there's a quest trigger for having completed the DK starter zone or something of the like. In fact, looking at the average DK bot armor, it appears that they must have completed the starter zone at least. I also had to go and check out WillE Valley, and yeah, it was more or less what you expect it to be. Straight away you could see the sheer amount of people playing DK in the Battleground feeling a little bit over the top. I know it's a popular class, but this is a few weeks after launch. Maybe things should reflect that a little bit more, and you can see a number of conga lines of Death Knights running straight down the valley instantly. Some even broke off to go and chase the Horde instead. I then remembered that I had a Horde Shaman over on Golemag, which I leveled during Classic, so I thought, hey, why not try a Battleground over there, see how things are looking and all that. And the first Battleground I got into was pretty interesting, shall we say. I'd wager at least half, if not more, of both teams were lines of DK bots following one another around until somebody engaged them in combat. There were a few players there farming the bots too, but the sheer volume of them was unbelievable. And they were all specced into blood as well, so when they get in fights, they go on for ages. In this particular Arathi Basin, our boys got a bit stuck around the bridge in the middle, and then they just kind of ran into other roaming groups of DK bots on repeat. It was kind of like watching an auto battler or something. In fact, I guess that's exactly what it was. The state this Battleground was in was just a total joke. How is any actual human queuing into this more than once, or just engaging with this content in general? I mean, even though you can report bots in Battlegrounds, I'm not sure that's happening too often looking at this. And being able to level through PvPing is pretty cool in my opinion. It opens up a different way to play the game for people, and to see it in this state is just... it's totally unplayable. All in all, DK botting has pretty much lived up to what I expected it to be, if not currently at this point in time, somewhat worse. Is it time to re-restrict needing a level 55 on your account to make a Death Knight? And yes, on one hand there's always going to be bots, and at the end of the day having more active GMs would certainly help, but we've seen how things go with Classics so far in this regard. I don't see it exactly changing now. Maybe it is time now that the launch period has gone by. Either way guys, surely a big ban wave will be coming soon, and looking at what I have today, I certainly hope it does, because at the moment the botters seem to be in the lead on the arms race. Let me know your thoughts. It's not the most positive outlook at the moment, and whether this has affected you on your server at all. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.